Hello, everyone, and welcome to Arch Talk Presents, a program brought to you by EPCC's Architecture Society. Today, we will be interviewing Emmanuel Rubio, Project Manager at In Situ Architecture. I will be your host, Crystal Lindstrom, Co-Faculty Advisor of the Architecture Society. We hope you enjoy the program. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Emmanuel, why don't you start off by telling me a little bit about yourself, and secondly, where are we?
Hey, good afternoon. So my name is Emmanuel Rubio, and I am currently a project manager, architectural designer, architectural intern, coffee gopher at In Situ Architecture. I graduated with Professor Lindstrom from EPCC a few years back. I then attended Texas Tech College of Architecture here in El Paso, and I ended up getting a grad degree from Lawrence Tech. Currently, so Thursdays is my field days. I happen to be the project manager for Westar Tower, and I'm currently standing on top of the roof, which happens to be the tallest man-made structure in El Paso. So what you're seeing behind me, you're probably seeing it downtown, is the Corona structure of Westar Tower. And that view I'm giving you now is south, so downtown. You'll see the Paso Hotel, which we just finished renovating, and then that is west. But before we get into that, I just wanted to tell you what the five major design steps in a traditional architectural project are. The first one is called schematic design. You guys might know it as the concept stage. It's when you get a client and you kind of get the big brain idea of thinking what it's going to look like. Once the client signs off on your design, then you move into what's called DDs, or design development. And that's when you bring in your consultants, your engineers, your structural engineer, mechanical, electrical, all that good stuff. And you guys start coordinating the actual project. The third phase is what we call CDs, construction documentation. And that's when you actually start preparing the final set, which will be submitted to permit. At that point, your responsibility as an architect is almost kind of halted. And the fourth step will be what's known as bidding and negotiation. That's when a client will submit the set, and contractors get to bid on it. And usually the way it works, if there's any kind of local or municipal monies involved, any kind of public building, it will go to the lowest qualified bidder. And then the last step is what we call construction and administration. And that's what my firm is doing here at Westar Tower. So we are not the architects who designed it. The architect of record is called Duda Payne, and they're from North Carolina. However, this being such a big project and so involved, they needed, say, boots on the ground. And our firm got that project. And I happen to be the project manager. So about half of my weekly workload is compressed here at Westar Tower. And my job is to walk around, take pictures, create field reports, and aid the architect of record in making sure that Westar Tower is being built the way it's supposed to be. So that's where we're at right now, guys. And it's really a beautiful view, and this is going to be a great building. And I hope that the community enjoys it as much as we have enjoyed being part of it.
Okay, great. That is really exciting, certainly. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
And so, having said that, as you know, the students that we teach at EPCC are primarily first year and second year students, and I'm sure they would love to know, just on an average day, what are your typical responsibilities?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. So, it's when you're going to school, architecture is still romanticized. And we have this notion of these great architects, right, and what they do on a daily basis. And a lot of those things do happen. So you will be able to design, and you do make models, and you do a lot of sketching and a lot of drawing. But on a day-to-day, what my job is compressed of is switching from project phase to project phase. So I have multiple projects going on, each of them different process of the construction schedule. So for instance, on the morning, I usually get to my office and I read through my load of emails, and I reply to those emails. I then make myself a schedule of what priorities I have to do. And honestly, just really depending on my day, Some days I spent 9 hours a day sitting down in front of a computer working on Revit. Some days I spend the entirety of the day at West Star Tower taking pictures and then going back to the office and documenting field reports. And again, it just depends on which project and where I'm at. But at this point in my career, I find myself every day having questions, every day learning, and because of that, we really need our architects, right? Our direct superintendents, and they really guide us and aid us through that process. So every day is an adventure. Every day is something new, and there's really never a dull day. You guys will be learning until the day you die in architecture, because technology, construction is always evolving, and it's always really exciting and always gets you on your toes.
Okay. And another question I would like to ask is, I guess both academically and professionally, what would you say are some of the greatest challenges that you've faced personally, and how did you overcome them, and what did you take from that?
So first and foremost, just know that I often am invited to be a juror at EPCC and at Texas Tech, and I can tell you that the program has come such a long way since when Professor Lindstrom and I were there. And because of that, I'm really, really proud of both those local alma maters. I really think that having so many young architecture students really influences our city. And you could just tell by the way things are changing. But with that being said, the hardest aspect of my education was I was a fairly young dad and a fairly young husband. And while I was going to studio and doing everything you guys do, I also had to have a full-time job, sometimes 2 full-time jobs at a time, to be able to put food on the table. As you all know, this career is a very strenuous, long career. We're one of the only professions that pride ourselves on doing all-nighters. The average licensure age is the age of 35. So if you guys didn't know, if you were to transfer, say, to Texas Tech is going to give you what's called the Bachelor of Science in Architecture. It is a 4-year accredited program, but then you have to go and get a graduate degree in architecture before you can sit for the 6 ARE exams. Before you're able to sit for those exams, after you got your master's, you have to accumulate 3,666 hours of professional practice in about 7 different regions, and then your mentor architect has to sign off on it. So that's in the step that I'm at right now. I've already completed my hours. I have all those fancy degrees. I have the experience, and now I need to start studying and take these 6 exams. I'm 35 right now, so I'm right at the age where I need to be. And I've been told that it's not until you get that license that the fun starts. And like I said earlier, it's such a challenging career that the principals at my firm often still have to do their research, and it's even though you know these things, it's such an important job that you want to double sure and triple sure that everything you're doing is up to code. There's so many regulations that get involved in the building of something, but in my 4 or 5 years of experience, I probably had 30 or 40 projects, and each project, once it's done, is such a relief. It's such a weight off your shoulders, and there's a real sense of pride and accomplishment when you see something as simple as a house to as extravagant as the biggest tower in El Paso.
Awesome. And so on the other side of that coin, can you share with us what have been some of the greatest experiences you've had in the pursuit of architecture?
I just want to say, honestly, because this career is so difficult, the best piece of advice that I would give you guys is that you really have to be passionate about it. It is so mind-boggling the amount of time and effort and money that it takes to get to the level where I plan to be in a few years, that unless you're really, really, truly passionate about something, chances are it's not going to get done. And with that being said, that's probably the biggest reward is spending so much time, so many hours, so many sleepless nights to try to find yourself in a place that you will be. And that's where I'm at right now. In Situ Architecture is arguably the best firm in town. West Star Tower obviously is the biggest building in town, and I never really in my wildest dreams did I imagine that in such a young career I would be here. But I am, and it's on not only is it humbling and it's really exciting, I will tell you this, and Professor Lindstrom could probably vouch for me, is that I wasn't the smartest, I wasn't the most talented, or the most creative, and definitely I wasn't the most devoted. With that being said, each one of you guys have the opportunity to be here, and it is possible. So if you do have that passion, if you have that dream, just keep on going no matter what obstacles you have, because at the end of the day, everybody tells you how hard it is, but nobody really tells you how worth it is.
Well, thank you. That's really sound advice. And the next set of questions are kind of connected. The first one being, what would you say is your personal design philosophy? And I also wanted to ask you what architects have influenced you personally and why?
Oh man, such a great question. That's also such a romantic question. Personal design philosophy. Truth is, I don't have a design philosophy. I'm much too young and too inexperienced to have a design philosophy. Everybody knows that the best project is the next project again, because you learn from the mistakes of the previous ones. What design style I particularly like? It says that dogs are kind of like their owners, and architecture, their style is kind of like people design them. I particularly like brutalism. I like large buildings with raw materials such as concrete and brick. And because of that, my all-time favorite architect, for many reasons, is definitely Louis Kahn. I've been fortunate enough to see some of his work, but I just think that how he brings in rudimentary shapes like circles and triangles, and how he uses materials such as concrete and brick to create these monuments, it's just really breathtaking. And how he wanted to make modern buildings, look like ancient ruins, to signify that this is something important. This is something here. So many people spend so much time and money and effort to build it, and then the community gets to enjoy it. So without a doubt, Louis Kahn is my favorite architect, and I tend to lean to that style. But now, once you get into the profession, the style that kind of moves you is the style that moves your client, right? And you find yourself, selling your design ideas. So I mentioned earlier schematic design phase. I have a client who hires us, and we get together and we produce 3 or 4 schemes for him, and then we show him these schemes in a Keepway presentation or PowerPoint presentation, very similar to the way when you guys submit your designs and get critiqued. The difference is now it's real money. There's paychecks on the table, and you're able to tell what scheme your client liked the most, and then whatever he decides to sign off on, that's what you continue and you evolve. At the end of the day, there's certain little tricks, and you put in your own little signature on there. But yeah, a lot of the times it's at least at this level, it's your design is heavily guided by what your client wants, what the program is, the sites, obviously, and then of course your local code, municipality ordinances. So we are governed by a body of rules for the health, safety, and welfare of the community. So those 3-4 things always govern program, budget, site, and code.
Okay, and lastly, I wanted to ask you, you've shared with us that you've already been involved in quite a few projects. Can you tell us a little bit about which one has been your favorite one so far, and why?
Yeah, so let me see. One project that we are involved in that hasn't been built yet is it's a mixed-use apartment complex. What it's going to be a series of upscale apartments. And then in the bottom, you're going to have a retail level. And that's going to be located here in downtown. And that's pretty close to my heart, because I kind of started that project in the very beginning, and hopefully it'll be built soon. But it's a really nice addition to El Paso. I also was the project manager for our current office right now. So In Situ bought the WS Hills building, which is located on Oregon and El Paso Street, and we are going to add a total of 6 floors to it. So now what we're going to have is the ground floor is going to be retail, the second and third floor are going to be building offices, and then on top of that, you're going to have 28 very upscale apartments. Because we happen to own the building, and because I work there, that's one of my favorite projects. It was nerve-wracking, making sure that it was built the way that it was supposed to be built. And just so you know, a little background on that building, Edgar Lopez and Bill Helm are the principals at In Situ. And then there's a gentleman by the name of Rita, who is the principal of Roots Architecture. So all three of them own this building. And you can just imagine how nerve-wracking it is to have three architects who happen to own the building that you're helping produce, all standing over your shoulder and telling you what they like or what they don't like. So that was a very personal project. But honestly, my favorite building is so far my favorite project, and for the obvious reasons that it's so notable and it's so large, is West Star Tower. And I'll give you a little view of it.
Yes, please.
So here we are looking at what's called the Corona. This is approximately 364 feet in the air. This is soon going to be gilded with a very nice kind of bronze aluminum composite material. That yellow structure, what you're seeing there, that's known as the mechanical mezzanine. Inside of there's mechanical equipment, and there's also the AC and the elevator, right? So right now I am pointing you towards the east, and I'm going to show you one of the most dynamic views in the city, and not a lot of people have been fortunate enough to see it. So I'm currently standing in the south corner of West Star Tower, and emerging is a beautiful downtown El Paso. And I'll give you guys that view.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. And from this scale, you're able to see how tall we are. Things really, really look different. And, being an architectural buff and loving our city so much, born and raised here, you're able to see these views and, you recognize it, but you've never seen them this way. So being fortunate enough to be here so often, it's really special. One of the coolest things is this crane here. So this crane right now is it's right through the center of the core of the building, and this crane will stay here until the building is complete. And this is how they get materials up to it. So, anyways, a little bit of a tour.
Wow, that's great. All right. So, in closing, are there any closing remarks? Any last advice that you would like to, give to the students?
Yeah, guys. Like I said, this is, for me, being an architect is the most prestigious thing a person can be. For me, being an architect is better than being president of the United States. Like I said, I'm not particularly smarter or more talented than any of you guys. So it is possible. If you have that dream, chase it. It's definitely worth it. Because as you get older, you start realizing that what you have in life after your kids leave and whatnot is you end up with your work, and it's kind of your legacy. So if you're able to produce buildings and show them off and be a part of that, you could really impact people's lives. So keep on with it, and one day I assure you everything will be okay. It'll be well with it.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much for your time, and have a great day. Thanks again.
All right, guys. Good luck.
This concludes our program. Thank you for listening to Arch Talk Presents, brought to you by EPCC's Architecture Society, an interview with Emmanuel Rubio. This is your host, Crystal Lindstrom. Until next time.